Hello my lovelies, and welcome to the Goddess Enchantments channel. My name is Claire and that is Ellen, you can hear in the background, who is very chatty today. So this is actually my third time trying to film this video because it seems that every neighbour I have is mowing their lawn today. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that we make it through this video and it ends up on the channel. So my lovelies, I hope everyone is well. If you are brand new here, then welcome. I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, please do consider subscribing, clicking that notification bell and giving us a thumbs up. If you are one of our regular subscribers, then welcome back my lovelies. Today we are going to be doing a review and walkthrough of the Shadowscapes Tarot. Yes, we are, Ellen. This has been requested time and time again by you guys. It's not a new deck, but it's one that a lot of people seem to be quite interested in and want me to talk them through and give my opinions on, perhaps before buying. I have also ordered the new Avalon Oracle that many of you have asked, please Claire, can you do a walkthrough and review of that really soon? That should be being delivered tomorrow. So my lovelies, it's been a little bit of a gap since my last video because we have been very busy here at Goddess Enchantments. We have had numerous stockings, we just had one, and beautiful carvings. We had some dinosaur bone spheres and we had, oh my gosh, I will show you these. I'm sorry to show you them because they're now gone, but we had these beautiful dinosaur crystal skulls carved. And they all now have homes, but we also have some unicorn carvings done. There's some cat and moon ones. We have our sanctuary lepidolite goddesses in stock, and we have had some chalices hand carved as well. So there's lots on the website at the moment. And of course we have our Facebook community group. So do come over and join us in all of those places. All the links will be in the drop down under the title of the video. So let's get on with what we're here for, having a look at the Shadowscapes Tarot. So this is published by Llewellyn, so we get a really nice book box, I should say. We haven't got to the book yet. Box as you would expect. This is what it looks like on the back. You can see it says here that it is a weaving together of Asian, Celtic and fantasy style artworks, and that it is a Rider-Waite-Smith based tarot. Now, if you're someone who wants quite a traditional tarot deck but doesn't want, for example, the Rider-Waite, for me, that's not a deck I've ever really connected to, and I've been reading for well over 25 years at this point. But I do love decks like this that kind of bring that energy in, but then take this in-depthness with the art, because I'm an intuitive reader and I like to really look into the imagery of the cards and go through. So these are a little bit different in another way too, which we will get to in a second. So this is the inside of the box. It's magnetic along the side. This is the book you get, and this beautiful purple design here, which is the back of the cards as well. So here's our book. It's a lovely thick companion book, which we will go through. Ellen, is that one of your hairs? Have you been in my tarot? That's because I had to put them all back in order and she was helping me. And then this is the deck itself, which when it first arrives is plastic shrink wrapped, and that's what your box looks like. So let's move that out of the way and then we will zoom you in so you can actually see the cards a lot more in detail. Now, the back of the card is absolutely stunning. My favourite colour, as many of you know, but there is already a massive downside to these cards for me, which is so unfortunate considering how I feel about this deck as a whole. But the cardstock is basically paper. It's a thick paper. It's not really, or a very thin, low quality card. If you think of, I've got some decks near me. If you think of, like, if you have the Goddess Oracle, this is a much thicker, you can actually hear it. This, it's just bendy paper. So that's a real downside if you work intensively with your decks, if you like to do some quite intense shuffling, or if you read for other people. So something to bear in mind, they're going to get dinged up. They may rip. My friend has this deck, she loves it and she uses it very regularly, and her cards literally have rips in them. So something to just keep in mind. So let's have a look at the art. So the Fool, so beautiful. Now, the one thing I would immediately say with these cards is look deep within them. There is layer upon layer upon layer within the images of this deck. So when you first look at it, what you see is just the surface. There's going to be symbols in there. There's going to be animals in there. And they're all hiding in the images themselves. So really look closely and explore that image. The other thing you'll notice with the cards is that they reflect the energy of shadow and light. And I really enjoy that, especially in a tarot deck, because sometimes they're either super duper fluffy and bright. The more traditional, like Rider-Waite, is sort of, you know, in the middle. For me, it doesn't really have any depth to it on either side of that for the way that I personally like to read, which is through the imagery. I mean, if you look into just this piece alone, there's symbols down here. There's actual little, if you, let's bring this up a little bit closer and then you can kind of explore yourself that area. You can see there's little elementals they might come through to you as. To me, they're quite elemental feeling, but they're hiding in there, as is a snake flowing around here. Then if you actually have a look on the ribbons hanging down, you have different aspects there that's bringing energy in. So it's very rich, very balanced energetically. Like I say, if you want a deck that's going to support you through the good times and the bad times, that's going to be able to look into what's causing blockages in your life, that's also going to be able to tap into all those blessings, this is a very balanced deck energetically in that way. There's all, by the way, secret imagery in here to find, symbols to find. Again, make sure you're really looking into the cards. You have different fruits in a lot of these cards. There's a pomegranate there, the Empress, the Emperor. I mean, they're just so in depth. There are animals hidden in here. There's the sun and the moon. There's symbols on the stones here, symbols in the trees. There's just so much for an intuitive reader to really look at and delve into, even to meditate with. These cards are wonderful if you like to do a card for the day and then meditate on it. If you want to pull a card or a few cards for a situation and then meditate or journey or do ritual, you can incorporate these cards into that work. A beautiful sea energy, the crab, oh my, so stunning. Strength. And I love this. Look at this. It's just incredibly beautiful. There's an acorn in there. So it's noticing these little tiny images that are going to give you so much more depth for your readings for yourself, or if you are a reader for other people. I love the Ankh there. Beautiful death card. You have plant allies in here and they're recognizable, so you can then look into the energy of those plants, and you'll find that in the cards, or at least I have found anyway, that a lot of the symbology that's used is symbology that you're either going to know or you're easily going to be able to look into. And then of course we have the book as well, which we will look at in a touch. Look at that. But I would say, while this is an incredible deck for someone who is experienced, who is highly intuitive, who really wants that depth in their cards, if you are newer to tarot and you are not drawn to the more traditional decks and you're wanting something a little bit different, this is one that I absolutely would recommend because of how balanced the energy within the cards and the deck is. I mean, it's one of the most balanced tarot that I have, and especially with depth of symbolism and images, use of color. And because you have the book, you're going to have the chance to start out at the very beginning, if you are new, to kind of use the meanings and what's been given to you throughout by the authors, and then expand and grow. So the deck's going to expand and grow with you, which sometimes people start out with a basic deck and then it's like, oh, I just feel that's a bit too basic now, or I didn't connect with it. This is really going to travel with you. Beautiful wands cards. I mean, just look at that. And look at that imagery there. Oh, so much depth. Okay, now we're into Cups, which has so many beautiful chalices throughout. I love this myrrh energy, and even coming into a towel, and then you have the sea turtles coming out the edge. Look at that one. That's a beautiful one. That is stunning. I would love that in a print. There's also a wonderful balance of masculine and feminine energy within these cards as well, which I really like. I mean, we all love a goddess deck, don't get me wrong. I have plenty of them myself, but especially when it's a tarot, I really do like there to be balance, light and shadow, and balance of masculine, feminine. Because again, you're going to get a much better, well-rounded reading. Now we're on to Pentacles. How stunning. I love this. It just makes me think of Arachne. If you don't know Arachne's story, I actually have a video on the channel of me telling it. If if you would like to learn about that. Gorgeous. And then last but not least, the King of Pentacles. So that is our deck, my lovelies. Let's have a look at the book. I'm going to probably need to take you back out for that one. Let's have a little bit. There we go. Good stuff. Pop those to the side. So here is our book. It is a black and white book, but it still has the large images within. So you have your artist notes, introduction, major, minor, takes you through the suits, and then there is some spreads. So there's your notes from the authors and the introductions, a bit about tarot. So if you are brand new to working with tarot, that information is in here for you. It talks about the deck structure. There's a Q&A in here. And then we have some spreads for you to do as well. And they do have the basic spreads. So like I said, if you are new, then that's something, you know, that's helpful, as well as the steps to actually doing a reading. Shuffling, journaling, and then we head into the meanings themselves. So when it comes to the major, this is what it looks like. So you open up and you have the imagery, the name, and then as we head over, you have some writing about the card itself. So, and then over here you have the meaning. So I'll read one of these for you because I know a lot of you like to kind of hear that, but you can always pause if you would rather read it yourself and mute me for a second and read through. It begins with a whispered voice. The serpentine song threads through her days and her thoughts. It beckons, come, come, come. Where, she asks, curious, but there is no response. She ignores the summons until one day that siren song unexpectedly explodes and fills her to the brim. Its pulse is undeniable. Where, she asks again. And this time the steady beat of her heart is the response. The fool has come a long way, travelled from far beyond to come to this pinnacle that rises up upon the edge of the world. And yet her journey is just about to begin. She senses this with instinctive perceptions as she rises up on her toes, caught up in the breathless embrace of the wind in the moment before the plunge. Her heart pounds and flutters in her chest with the force of 100 beating wings struggling to break free of the cage of her being, until she feels she must be sprouting wings from her shoulders to glide forth from that place transformed. Wait, don't, cries a thin, trailing voice from within. Caution, fear it rouse. Hold back. Unheeding, she steps forward, and then you have your meaning. So she stands on the edge of a very sheer precipice with only the ribbons and the doves bearing her up if she chooses to leap. The fox takes this in. He watches. He is the embodiment of cleverness, but being clever does not preclude being a fool of a different sort. He can't comprehend the leap of faith that she is about to take. So who's the fool? She for stepping out into the unknown in what seems to be a complete lack of logic, or the fox for being too firmly rooted in the belief of the reality of intellectual thought? The fool is a symbol of new beginnings and adventures, pleasure, passion. She rushes ahead, thoughtless and rash, doing before thinking, obeying instincts. Like the fool, you may stand upon the precipice, gazing out into the unknown. The endless expanse of blue nothing is all that fills the space between that high up, airy, and the ground that is so very far away. There is either an oblivious foolishness to the terrible plunge you may experience, or else a wild spirit of adventure and great faith and knowledge in what can and will bear you up and guide you through the times to come. There are unlimited possibilities opening up for the seeker. Now, all of the meanings are in this format. So the magician, again, you have kind of the more story side, then you have the meaning side here. One thing I will say is, those of you that know me know I'm not keen on books anyway. I generally put them in the box and I go with the cards and intuitively. But I do like to, especially if a deck's a bit different, have a look, see what the author's opinions are and how they write. And especially if I'm reviewing for you guys, I need to know what's in the book. The book is quite wordy. It's very whimsical in its wording. It's not the standard, here's the meaning of the card, here's the possibilities it could mean for you. It is very whimsically written, very story-esque. So that may be something that is a plus for you, or something that is a negative. If you're someone who's not going to pick up the book, then it doesn't really matter either way. So that is how these all look the same. Ellen, oh good lord. Then when we move along, let's continue so that we get to the suits. Here we go. So then we have wands, which also tells you the elements. So if you are new to tarot, then that's going to be something that's you really need to know to work with the cards. So that's really good. And then you have the image and you have the meaning on the other side. And it basically points out certain things that you'll be seeing in the card and those energies. So it goes through. Ellen, please be careful. Ellen, oh my gosh, anything to be in a video. So that goes along through all of the suits, all of them with their picture and then with their write-up. And when you get to the back of the book, and I quite like this, especially if you're a beginner coming in, because you would have started at the beginning of the book with the very basic spreads, how to read tarot and work with tarot. And then when you get to the back, it actually gives you some more complex spreads to continue working with the cards and to work with them on a deeper level. So that's something which I think a lot of people will find super handy in there. So that is your book, and this, my lovelies, is your beautiful deck of cards. So in summary, I love this deck. I love the balance of shadow and light within it. I love the imagery, so many symbols, so much to discover. Ellen, please stop that. My downside, for me, the book, not so much of a downside with the way it's written, being so whimsical and everything, because I don't particularly use it. But my main downside is the cardstock. I would love to use these for my distance healing and my readings that I do through Goddess Enchantments. But I just know they are going to end up completely destroyed. And I love the deck so much. I don't really want to do that. So that for me is a real pro, because con, I should say, a real con, because then I'm less likely to pick this deck up. So that's a downside for me, but it may not be something that bothers yourself. Ellen. So me and Ellen are going to go now, because clearly she is taking over the entire situation here with her her fluffiness and hairiness. But do let me know in the comments down below, do you have this deck? Have you been thinking of getting this deck? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you love that whimsical aspect? Do you not love it? Because we are all looking for those different things. So the more that we comment and, you know, say, hey, I usually like this, I really like this deck, or maybe you work with it a lot and you found a way not to damage the cards, or your cards have been damaged. All of that feedback helps everyone that is viewing the channel and the videos to decide if a deck's for them or not. So that is it from me, my lovelies. I hope you are all well and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye from Ellen as well. Bless her be.